Hey guys, Cam here with Just Tooling Around. Welcome back. Today we're going to jump back on our 78 C10 project. Just ran by the store and picked up a replacement fuel pump. We're going to go ahead and swap that out and plan on dropping the fuel tank and clean that out and see if we can get it to pull fuel from the fuel tank for the first time. So we'll go ahead and jump right into it. Alright guys, the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and break that hard line loose going to the carburetor and take it off of there. That'll free us up, and I'll show you when we get down there on the side of the block. We got to basically there's a bolt we need to take out so we can put a longer one in there to hold that the little rod that runs from the cam lobe to the fuel pump. We need to be able to get that in there. So this fuel line runs right in front of it. I want to break that loose and drop it out of the way. Then it'll give us access to that bolt. I got it broke loose from the car. I'll go ahead and take it off of the fuel pump down here. There we go. I'll just shift it over out of the way. I won't fully take it out. I'll move it over here so you can see a little bit better. So right down there, this fuel pump, and off to the side of it there's a bolt. I don't know how well you can see it. I'll try to point it out as best I can, but right down here there's a bolt that basically goes in the side of the block, and it's a fairly short threaded bolt. Basically if you back it out and you can take one of the fuel pump mounting bolts and screw it in there, it'll basically touch that rod that runs off the cam lobe and hold it in place to keep it from dropping out, because if that thing ever falls, I've heard stories of how difficult it is to get it back in, and I don't want to deal with that. So I know what thread pitch that bolt is, so I ran to the toolbox and grabbed one. I had one that's a little bit longer than that, so it should be long enough to reach and touch it. So what I'll do is I'll shift the camera around. I'll go ahead and take that out, put the longer one in there until it bottoms out against that rod, and then we'll pop the fuel pump off. All right guys, we're back at it again this afternoon. So we ran out of light last night, and I don't know how clear it was in the last video, but right there is the hole that we're trying to thread a bolt in to basically capture the rod that runs off of the camshaft and drives the fuel pump. And this one right here, it should be just long enough. I measured in there. If we take it basically bottom it out, it should be long enough to hold on to that. So we're going to run it down in there. Hopefully I'm not blocking the camera shot too much with my head. They feel like it bottom out against and touching it. Now what we'll do, I've already got the fuel line off and disconnected, so we'll go ahead and take the bolts out of the fuel pump, pop it off there. All right. There we go. Pretty rough looking. I'll go ahead and get these unthreaded out of here. There's quite a bit of sludge on this thing. Definitely matches everything that we've seen, especially as we change the oil and all. Looking around in there, there's a lot of sludge built up in this engine. But we'll go ahead and get the new one out of the box and go ahead and throw it on there. All right, so while the camera was off, I took my scraper and scraped and cleaned the gasket surface as good as I could. It's pretty decent. I also tried to wipe out. There's a decent amount of sludge in that little pocket right below the fuel pump. So I tried to get as much sludge out of there as I could. Got my new fuel pump with a gasket on it, so we'll go ahead and throw it on there. those snugged up. All right, good to go there. So what we'll do now is I'll get the camera moved around and we'll go ahead and hook up the fuel lines. All right, got that line going up from the bottom to the carb. Go ahead and put it on the fuel pump. Go ahead and get it around and get it hooked up to the carb. There we go. Should be good to go there. I think now we'll go ahead and jump on pulling that fuel tank and cleaning it out. Alright guys, we're back at it again today. Now through the magic of video editing, it's going to seem like this is one continuous video and this is just the next day, but it's actually about 2 weeks after I started filming replacing the fuel pump on the truck. So a couple weeks ago, hurricane came through the area, knocked out power here for about a week, so I really haven't been working on the truck much, but over the past couple days I've gotten back on it. Did a little bit of stuff off camera. I know in the beginning part of the video I talked about taking the fuel tank out and things like that, but what I had done is I'd gone and picked up one of the little hand transfer pumps from Harbor Freight, and I took the fuel filler neck loose in there. I ran that hose down. I made me a really long hose, about 4 foot long, ran it all the way to the front of the tank, and I don't know if y'all can see that in there. I might have pulled a cup worth of gas out of it, and then I got up under there and started tapping on it with a screwdriver, and I'm pretty sure that fuel tank's completely empty. So what I think I'm going to do now, move the camera around, I'm going to hook the fuel filler neck back up, throw probably 5 or so gallons worth of gas in there, see if we can get it to fire off, and see if we can get it to start pulling fuel out of this tank. So we'll go ahead and jump into it. So I popped the filler neck loose just to give me a straight shot. I tried running the hose down through there, and there's just so many tight pins I couldn't really get it in there. Pop that off right there and hook the thing it's so dry rotted. It'll go back on like it's supposed to. Let's see. All right, there we go. Turn around there and go ahead and tighten her up. We should be. Oop. All right, we got filler neck back on. Let's go grab a gas can and see if we can get some gas down her. Well, it's filling more than I'm getting in the tank. Go grab another gas can. See if I got a little bit more in it than this one does. Alright, so we got gas in the tank. So what I'm going to do now, since we've not used this fuel pump and we're pretty sure all the lines are empty, I'm going to take this loose. I'm just going to hook it into a water bottle, crank it over a few times just to try to purge whatever's in that line out, and then hold off until we're getting clean gas up here, and then I'll hook the line back up. We'll see if I can get it routed out of the way enough to get it into that bottle. We'll do our best. Oh yeah. All right. Well, that ain't gonna work. That might be all right. Really could use a hose on that. Let me see if I got a little piece of hose. All right, so what it is, I went and found, just pulled the hose off the little transfer pump. I've got that stuck down in that bottle. What I'm gonna do now is hook up the jumper cables and just turn it over a few times, get that fuel pump going, and see if we can start pumping some fuel through it and purge anything that's left in that line out. So I'll get all my jumper cables and everything hooked up over here. Try to fire it up, see what we got. All right. Crank on it a little bit. Yep. Must not have a grease connection. There we go. Let's try that now. Alright, hadn't started getting fuel yet. Let's try on it a little bit more. There we go. We're getting gas now. Ooh. Some pretty rough looking fuel. Probably some nastiness still left in those lines. Let's see. I'll set this up a little bit straighter. Try to wedge it in there so it doesn't throw that hose out. Looked like as it was pumping, it wanted to push that hose out. We'll hold that right there, and let's crank it on a little bit more, and we'll see what happens. All right, it looks like we got some fresh gas coming through there now. I'll take and pull that off of there, hook the fuel line back up to the carburetor, and let's see if we can get it to run. All right, we got our fuel lines hooked back up. I'll put a little bit of carb cleaner in here to prime it. Let's see if we can get her to fire off. Yep, one more. Prime it a little bit. There we go. We're running off the tank now. We have definitely got a smoking problem still there. Woo-wee. But hey, at least we're running off the tank. I'm gonna sit here and let it idle for a little bit and just make sure everything's good with that. And then I'll unhook everything. All right, guys, we're back at it again. So the other night after that last clip, I let the truck continue to idle, revved it up a few times. It ran just fine, pulled off the tank just fine. So I think we're good there. The thing that's concerning me the most right now is just how much the truck is smoking. I felt like in one of the other videos after I cut the muffler off, seemed to make a difference after I got that rat's nest out of the exhaust, but it doesn't seem to be getting much better. So what I did, I'll flip y'all around here. I ran by the old Harbor Freight and picked up a compression test kit. So I figure we'll go ahead and check that and figure out how healthy this little 305 really is. I already started pulling some of the spark plugs out, so we'll go ahead and jump right into it, get all the plug wires off, get all the plugs out, and start checking compression. We'll see how long these gloves will last. My bet is maybe 3 spark plugs before I tear a hole in them and end up just tossing them off. We'll see. Get all those plug wires up and out of the way. Since we just put these plugs in, it should be fairly easy to get these out. Whew. There's quite a bit of oil on these plugs, and that's after maybe 20 minutes of run time, so we definitely got something going on there. I said, less than 20 minutes of run time, maybe a little longer on them, but not much. Not good, not good. Come on. There we go. Yeah. There we go. That one is really, really black and wet. Straight oil. That feeling we're going to have very, very low compression when we do this test. But we'll see. I'm not counting on much today. Throw it in the dirt. All enough to reach the back without climbing up here on it. There we go. Everything's set up now. Start checking compression. All right, well, I got our compression tester hooked up to the first cylinder over here. So we'll go ahead and turn the jump pack on. We'll go ahead and start turning it over and see where this cylinder lands at. All right. It looks like we're up right around, I'd say 110, 115 psi right there. I'll write that down. All right, I'll go ahead and disconnect and move it to the others. Ooh, hold on a second. Move you over here and show you all this. I think I may have seen where some of our issues coming from. Look right here. That one's turning over. Yeah, it looks like we might have been spurting a little bit of oil out there. It also looks like there's some fresh oil coming out of that last cylinder at the back there. So what I may do is I may go ahead and move around to this side and just throw the tester in those, just to see where we land at on that. It definitely doesn't look right. So I probably wouldn't expect a whole lot of compression out of those, but maybe not. Maybe we'll be surprised. I'll move it around here, get it set up, and come back at you when I got it ready to test. All right, guys, I'm going to ask for a mulligan here. I actually just went back and watched that clip just a second ago and realized I went ahead and stopped it well before it was finished pumping up pressure. I actually continued to turn it over until it stopped, and it's actually stopping around 160 psi. So that's actually, from my understanding, that's pretty good. So I'll go ahead and get it hooked up and move it across to the other side where the oil was leaking out. But just wanted to come back and show you guys that. I got it hooked up to the cylinder that was spraying the oil out a minute ago, and I know it's a little bit of an odd angle, but I'm trying to get it where I can still see it in the cab as I'm cranking on it, or standing outside the door as I'm cranking on it, to still be able to film it. So let's see what we got on this one. Don't forget to turn the jump pack on. I definitely got to invest money in buying a battery. jumped around on us there, but there's another one right around, I'd say 160, 165 PSI. That's actually quite surprising with the oil that was coming out of there. I don't honestly know what would cause that, to have that much oil leak by. Maybe a valve stem seal or something like that. If any of y'all got any ideas, put it down in the comments. Just let me know where I need to be hunting at. Since that was good, I'm gonna go ahead and shift it, move it around, and just start back over here on the other side, going through the other cylinders. And I won't bore y'all to death making you watch me go through this slow process. I have a feeling I'm fixing to have to go recharge the jump pack in a minute here anyway. But I'll record that one, and I'll go through the rest of it, and I'll catch back up with y'all at the end of the video and just run through all the measurements at one time. Well, I just finished up doing the last compression test, and I'm going to flip you around and show you the results. It was actually quite surprising. So as you can see here, pretty much every one of the cylinders was in between that 155 to 160 range. Number 6 kept building pressure. It hit about 170 on there, but from everything I see, that looks pretty good, and it's pretty even across the motor. Some of these 155s, it may have been like 157, 158. Gauge on this isn't really marked off too well, so kind of hard. You're just pretty much guessing in between in those, but all of them hit around that 155, 160, 165 range, which I felt like was pretty good. As I showed you earlier, that one, when we first started checking everything on the driver's side of the motor, it was spurting oil out, but it stopped. But the very back cylinder back there continued, even up until I was checking compression on it. When I pulled the brass end out of it, it was covered in oil. So I was honestly surprised to see the compression as high as it was on that cylinder with that going on there. I guess kind of going off of that, I really don't know what could be causing that. I wouldn't think a ring issue. I'd see that high compression numbers, but maybe it's just like we lost the top oil ring on it and everything else is sealing, but we're allowing oil to get by. I don't know. The only other thing I thought possibly is maybe I'll take the valve covers off down the passenger side of the motor and make sure that we're not, we don't have a bunch of buildup in the back of the head that's not letting the oil drain back down, or see what the valve guides look like. So I think that's what I'm going to do next. So we'll go ahead and move everything out of the way, and I'll pop that one valve cover off and we'll see what we got. So I already went ahead and popped off the one vacuum line that ran from the distributor for the vacuum advance. I popped that out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and already broke loose the nut on the back of the alternator for the charge wire. Take that off of there. Come on. There we go. Snap that loose. We'll set that over out of the way. I should be able to get around that vacuum hose. That isn't a problem. The only thing I am worried about possibly is that EGR valve getting in the way, but it's actually been bypassed, I guess you could say. It's not even hooked up. You can see they took a little piece of, whoever had it before, the guy took a vacuum hose and jammed a bolt in it to block it off. And also off camera, if you know, it looks like all the spark plugs are back in. I started putting them all back in. I didn't put that last one at the very back. I do want to get some some of the foam and engine degreaser or something to spray that down, try to clean it up as best I can, and let's see how big of an issue we really got. Plus, a lot of the times I can't tell if it's burning oil off. I know it's still pumping oil, but there's a good bit that's getting burnt off every time I start it up and heat it up, and I would like to try to at least clean as much of it off as I can. Oh man, throw it in the dirt. All right, that very last bolt out. Let's see if we can take these valve covers out of here, or this valve cover out of here, might I say. For right now, I don't think I'm going to take, unless I find something absolutely terrifying over here. I'm not going to take the driver's side off right now. Oh! Oh! Well then. That's a mess. Definitely be buying that engine degreaser now. Oh, good golly. Yeah, once this comes off here, y'all see. Well, I guess that EGR valve is gonna cause me some issues. Let me see what I gotta do to get that thing out of here. Alright, I'll have to run back to the garage and grab some wrenches. I'll do that and pop that EGR valve off and see if we get that out of the way, and we'll look under that valve cover. Alright, I look at it again right before I walk to the garage. I don't think I was holding my tongue right just a second ago. Let's take it out of there. There's quite a bit of sludge built up in there. I'll take y'all and show y'all in that head. So here's the situation, guys. Right up here at the front of the head, and same on the very back, there's two ports where oil should be draining back down through. There may be others throughout there, but I know for sure on these small blocks, there's one at the front, one at the back. Both of those are or were slammed full of crud, sludge and everything like that. I dug the one at the front out. As soon as I did, a lot of that oil started draining back down through there like it's supposed to be. Probably need to do the same thing for the back hole. So what I'm probably gonna do is grab a putty knife and start trying to clean and scrape as much of the junk out of here as I can. And then definitely run by the parts store and pick up some degreaser, because yeah, I made a heck of a mess over here. So that's what we'll jump on next. Alright, so we'll go ahead and start trying to scrape some of this out of here and get as much out as we can. Left it set overnight, and most of the oil, after I cleared the front out, pretty well drained down. But I need to make sure that that passageway at the back is also cleared out too. And there's a lot of sludge in here. Wish I had a small putty knife, but I don't. So a flat blade screwdriver will have to do for this. Goodness gracious. This stuff is packed up in here. After I do this, probably what I'll do, I'm gonna definitely take and spray everything down with the degreaser, especially since that manifold's pretty well soaked in oil now. But I'll spray it down with degreaser, clean it up, and I'll, since I break all this stuff loose inside the head, I'll probably run the truck for a little while, let it get warm, and definitely need to drain that oil again. So I'll go back through and change that later on after I let it run for a while. But I mean, there's just barely scratching the surface, but there's so much buildup in here. I can definitely tell why the oil wasn't draining back out. There we go. All right. I think I got most of it off. So what I'll do, I'll go ahead and clean the valve cover off, throw it back on there, bolt it down, and then put all the Put that last spark plug back in there. Then get the pressure washer over here and spray this thing down with some degreaser and see if we can get the rest of this thing cleaned up, and we'll see, fire it up, let some of the oil burn off, and see if it's still smoking like it was. Okay, so I went by O'Reilly's and picked up a couple cans of the foaming engine degreaser, and I'm gonna go ahead and soak it down with it. Then O'Reilly's bag makes a pretty good carb cover, especially since I can't find the air cleaner right now to put back on it. So we'll go ahead and soak this thing down pretty good. I went ahead and put all the plugs back in. That way the motor itself wasn't open. All right. Make sure I got everything soaked down. All right. We'll let it sit. I think it says give it 15 minutes. And then come back in a few minutes and hit it with the old Harbor Freight pressure washer. All right, so it's been about 20 minutes since we sprayed that on there. So we'll go ahead and start hitting it with the pressure washer and see if we can get some of this oil off of there. So here's what it looks like after pressure washing. Overall, I feel like it got most of the oil off of there. The biggest thing I was concerned about was just the large amounts of oil that were on those manifolds. Anything that's left on there now probably should burn off. I just didn't want to be trying to burn all that off and end up catching the thing on fire or something like that. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to let it dry for a little while, put the plug wires back on, and then fire it up and see what it looks like. Again, I'm not expecting this to fix the problem or anything like that, but if opening those oil passages up at the front and back could at least get it to stop smoking as bad as it does, and pushing that much oil through, that would at least, that make me happy for now. I know long term I'm probably going to end up having to pull this 305 and rebuild it, or go another route with it. Don't know what I want to do yet, but if I could do that and get it going for a little bit, that would be suit me just fine. So I'll catch y'all guys back in a minute. Okay, so we just fired up the old C10. We've had it running about 2 or 3 minutes now. I'll flip you around, let you see what the smoke level looks like on it. So a little bit smoking back there. I will say some of it's coming from up here where we're burning some oil off of the manifolds. I knew there was a little bit left on there, so we'll keep an eye on that. But right this second, not that much coming out of the exhaust compared to the other day, but I know it's going to get worse the warmer it gets. So we'll give it a little while, let it heat up and see what happens. We've had it idling about 10 or 15 minutes. Temperature's starting to come up on it. Again, I don't think that gauge is too accurate, but we are pretty warm. Feel the radiator hoses. It feels like thermostat's already open. The oil that was on the manifolds and on the side of the block that we didn't get washed off yesterday is all pretty well burned off, so we're looking good there. As far as exhaust smoke, there's still a slight bit of haze, and then whenever if you go and rev on it, you get a little bit of blue smoke. I'll go ahead and do that for you real quick if I can get it to do it without dying. You can see when you really push on it, there's a decent amount of smoke still coming out of it, but nothing like we were the other day where we were fogging the whole house up. Well guys, this is where I'm going to end the video for this week. By the time you guys see this, and by the time it comes out on YouTube, I'll have been working on this one video for almost 2 months now. I started filming this towards the end of September. During the middle of it, went through a hurricane, lost power for 5 days or so, and all the other issues that went along with that. I've got a new baby on the way, so me and my wife have been running around like crazy doing things every weekend with that. So there's really not been a ton of time to work on the truck and film and stuff like that. So I've just been catching it in the evenings after work as I can. So that's why if I look like Mr. Rogers and I've changed my clothes 100 times, it's because it's been filmed across a span of like 30 days. So there's that to it. With the work we did this time, it did make the smoking issue better. I know that's not the full solution to it. I need to pull the valve cover on the driver's side, and I'll probably do that this week after work. And I'm also going to go ahead and pick up a battery and order a set of tires for it so we can at least get it yard drive and things like that. So probably in the next video, I'll show you the wheels that I've got for it. I got a set of Steelies I want to put on it. I'll show you what color I painted them and show you the tires, things like that. And then I may spend a little bit of time cleaning up this interior in here and see what that looks like. But again, guys, I really appreciate every one of you that watches, and I'll catch you guys again next time on Just Tooling Around. Thank you.